Hi everybody, and thank you for connecting. This video is an explanation of an exercise from the Escuela Oficial de Idioma exams level B2. So it is a text from a reading comprehension and we have some options, and the purpose of this video is to try to explain the structure and also to help with some vocabulary and some expressions. Okay, so I will share the screen and you can see on the left, this is the text. Okay, so this is the article typical from an exam in the Escuela Oficial de Idioma, and it's from Valencia, this example. So we have different paragraphs. You can see the different spaces. Dunkirk is the first movie. Okay, so each paragraph is in relation to a movie and a best film. So the first paragraph is Dunkirk. The second paragraph is related to the movie Detroit. The third paragraph is related to the movie Their Finest. The fourth paragraph, Wind River. Moonlight is fifth, Blade Runner 2049, and The Party is the penultimate paragraph, and the final paragraph is Final Portrait. Okay, so you can see each paragraph, we have a space. So number 7 here is the final space. Number 6 is the sentence here. Number 5 in the previous. Number 4, number 3, number 2, and number 1. So your job is to select the correct option from the options A to J and to select the correct option for the appropriate paragraph. So that's the job. It's a little difficult, but it's a very, very good exercise. And today I just want to focus on the vocabulary and to try to help with the explanation on some of the key words. Okay, so during an exam, of course, your job is to identify the answer. That's your primary job, to really focus on the answer. And in this class, I suppose it's a little different because we just want to help with vocabulary and to really teach the expressions as well. So during the exam, the best advice, of course, is to read the paragraphs first. The best idea is to read option A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to J, and try to understand perfectly the options. After you understand the options, then try to read the text. And of course, time is a big pressure, so you have to be very, very careful with the time, and you need to try and read very quickly and try to read or to try and read very, very fast. Okay, that's really the secret to do very well in these types of reading exams. They're very similar compared to the Cambridge exam, compared to the IELTS exam, and this Escuela Oficial de Idioma exam. A lot of exams have the reading exercises, and this one is interesting. Okay, so if we look at the options, we can see A is the outwit Germans, and I'll just highlight the difficult vocabulary. So to outwit the Germans and reach the beach, that's the first option. And I think option 0 is corresponding to A. So we are given the first answer, which is A. B, a lottery ticket her partner bought in their last trip. So the verb to buy, comprar in Espanol, and the past irregular, bought. Such a perfectionist, he cannot complete the painting to his satisfaction. So not too difficult vocabulary, and hopefully in the paragraph it will make sense. But option C is not too difficult for vocabulary. Option D, the now elderly replicant hunter Deckard. So I think Deckard is the name of the man or the woman. The elderly is the adjective for a person, an elderly man, an elderly woman is the adjective really to say old person, old man, old woman, but really in English more formal is elderly person, elderly people, an elderly man. And in this situation, also a hunter is the verb to hunt, which is cazar in Espanol, and the person is a hunter. Okay, so he's hunting the replicant, but probably in the paragraph we need to try and find the connection. So it's important to remember the options and try to find the correct clue and the correct connection in each paragraph. Option E, a bank robbery in a hard neighborhood. So neighborhood is barrio in Espanol, like an area, you live in a neighborhood, and a hard neighborhood is the significance, a very strong, a very tough, a very difficult neighborhood. So a hard person is a very strong person, but a hard neighborhood is maybe a very tough or very difficult or with a lot of problems, maybe a lot of social problems, is a hard neighborhood. Okay. Race is como ratha, and then a riot probably is similar as well. When there's a lot of protests, a lot of demonstrations, and a lot of anger, we say it's a riot. Okay. And also the stylish is the adjective. London, home of a politician. So the pronunciation is very important for the politician. The subject in school is politics. The adjective is political, and the person is a politician. So that's the big difference between the 3 or 4 forms of that word. It's very, very important. Option H, to be funny, romantic, heartbreaking at different points. So not too difficult vocabulary at the moment. It seems quite clear, and it's level B2. So hopefully we can understand the options and understand the answers. Option I, who goes through a troubled adolescence. So the phrasal verb to go through is to experience. You are going through a bad moment. You are going through a difficult period. We are going through the pandemic. It's like to experience. And in this situation, a troubled adolescence is a very difficult adolescence, a very hard adolescence with a lot of problems. Okay, so again, really good vocabulary, but not too difficult at the moment. And again, option J, where the body of a young Native American woman. Okay, and I think that's the end of the options. So if we look at maybe the first paragraph in relation to Dunkirk, okay, and also here I have my notes. So I will show you some of the notes in relation to the text. So for example, the first option, to outwit, is very, very advanced and very important. It's very difficult, but it's very typical. Okay, it's possible, for example, a witty person, the significance is a very intelligent or a very funny person. So if it's a very funny or intelligent person, it's a witty person. And your wit is very similar to your humor or your intelligence. Okay, but if you outwit a person, it means that you beat, como vencer, the person in relation to the intelligence. Okay, so if it's a competition, maybe in chess, where it's necessary to use your brain, to use your tactics, and you outwit the other person, the significance is you beat, you have the victory because you're more maybe intelligent in relation to the tactics. Okay, so that's possible to outwit. In sport, it's possible as well to outplay. For example, 2 teams and one team plays better sport or a better game compared to the other team. This team outplay the other team, but maybe lose the game, but they outplay in the style or in the performance. So to outplay is to, similar in the verb in Spanish, vencer, it's like to beat in English, okay? But to outwit the Germans is, in this situation, probably in relation to the movie. And we know the first option is Dunkirk in relation to tactics, military tactics, they outwit the opponent. And the verb to reach, again, is very, very important, because reach is physical. I cannot reach the bottle. If the bottle is very, very high, you need to reach the bottle, number 1. The second possibility is in relation to traveling. So if you arrive to Dublin, you reach Dublin at 6 o'clock. Okay, so you reach as the significance that you arrive to Dublin at 6 o'clock. And in this situation, they reach the beach. So they arrive to the beach. And that's the significance really of to reach in this situation. Okay. So if we look at Dunkirk, we can see one of the most impressive, accomplished war films ever in the history. Okay, it comes from British-born director Christopher Nolan. This structure, one of, it's usually necessary in the plural. Okay, so when we have one of this structure, it's very, very typical in relation to the plural. For example, one of the best days, one of the biggest jobs. Okay, so one of my favorite movies. Okay, one of the best days. So basically, this structure, one of, it's necessary in the plural. Okay, so the movies is necessary in plural when we have this structure. Again, one of, it's necessary that we have the substantivo in the plural. That's a typical rule, and it's very important. One of my best friends. So friends is plural. One of my best moments, and again, moments is plural. And here, I think films is the plural. Okay, so that's a very, very important structure. Accomplished is very good vocabulary as well. And the verb to accomplish is very similar to achieve. Okay, so if you accomplish a victory or you accomplish a certificate, it's very similar to achieve. And the substantivo is an accomplishment. Okay, so it's a very good accomplishment. If you win or if you pass an exam, it's a very good accomplishment, very similar to achievement. Okay, so practically the same, just good vocabulary really. Okay, so to accomplish something is to achieve something or to get something or maybe to win something as well. So here, accomplished in relation to a movie, adjective, it's like very professional, very good quality movie. Okay, again, here we have the hyphen. And when you have the hyphen, you can connect two different words to make one word. And here we have British is one word and born is the second word. And when you have the hyphen to connect, it becomes one word, one adjective, British born director. Okay, the next expression is very, very advanced and very, very good quality. So the expression is to zero in on, and it's very, very advanced, very fluent. Basically, zero is obviously nothing. 1, 2, 3, but zero is nothing. And the significance to zero in on basically is to focus on. Okay, so if you zero in on your exam, you really focus on your exam. It's a difficult explanation to explain, but that is the significance. To zero in on is really to focus completely on something. Okay, so it's really, really good vocabulary. And in this situation, this sentence, zeroing in on the attempts. And again, this is very, very important because an attempt is the substantive and the verb is to attempt. And the significance really is to try. Okay, so if you attempt to contact your friend, you attempt to do the exercise, the significance is you try to do the exercise. And an attempt has the significance a try. Okay, so it's really, really important. And in this situation, focusing on the efforts or the tries of our troops. And again, troops is very, very good vocabulary. So a troop is the collection of soldiers in the military or in the army. Okay, the troops are the group of soldiers in the army. Okay, so it's very typical, maybe support the troops, and very good vocabulary and very, very specific vocabulary. So I think the translation is a group of soldiers, okay, is the troops. And in this situation, it's basically focusing on the efforts of our troops. And I think the answer is to outwit the Germans and reach the beach. So it's focusing on the effort of the soldiers to be more intelligent and to beat the opposition and to arrive at the beach. That's the context of Dunkirk, the movie. And for this reason, I think option 0, it's necessary to be option A. Okay. The next sentence, we can see to be ferried home. So that's a very, very good structure because obviously a ferry is very similar to a ship or a boat, but really a ferry is the specific ship that transports the people. For example, between Dublin and Wales, Dublin and Holyhead, Dublin and Liverpool, we have a ferry. So a ferry is the specific name of the ship to transport the people from one place to another. Okay, and here it's in the passive as well, because remember the structure of the passive, you need the verb to be plus the participle. Okay, and in this situation we have the verb to be plus the participle of the verb to ferry. So it's very, very good vocabulary, and the significance is somebody transports the soldiers or somebody ferries the soldiers home, okay, by an army of small boats. So normally the army is for soldiers. You have an army is a group of soldiers, but it's possible as well an army of small boats means a big, big group of small boats. Okay, tense is good vocabulary, and I think in other languages it's very similar as well. A tense movie, a tense moment. And the next vocabulary is excellent, very advanced, very proficient, and very, very good quality. Okay, so a wrench, I think, is the object, like a tool. Okay, it's a specific tool, and I'm going to show you the translation here because it's very, very specific. A wrench is the object, the tool that we use to turn a screw or to turn something very, very difficult. So here's the translation in different languages. And you can see all the different languages, very, very different. Italian, chave. Malay is the same. Portuguese, chave. And in Spanish, it's a llave inglesa. So an English key is like a wrench. So that's the first significance, a wrench. But the second significance of a gut is part of your stomach. So if you have a gut feeling, it's basically the sensation or the feeling from your instinct. It's a gut feeling. It's an instinct. So you need to follow your gut feeling. You need to follow your instinct. Okay. And basically the significance of gut wrenching is maybe it's a lot of dramatic movement in your gut because it's very emotional and it's very painful and it's very disturbing. Okay. Molestando in Espanol. So gut wrenching is the effect in your stomach. It turns your stomach because it's very dramatic and very, very intense. Okay. Also, in relation to gut, we can say to gut a fish, and that means to remove the stomach of the fish, to remove the inside of the fish before you cook and before you eat. That's the significance to gut a fish. Also, you can say personally, I am gutted, and the significance is I feel devastated, I feel beaten, I feel like I have lost, so I am gutted. All my emotion is taken away. And that's the significance to feel gutted. And it's very, very common expression. For example, in sport, you lose the victory, you lose the game, and you are gutted, you are devastated. You lose a job and you are gutted. It's really, really sad. Okay, so that's the significance, really sad. And here, gut wrenching is intense and a bit maybe disturbing because it's maybe violent or disgusting. Okay, awe-inspiring. So awe is related to awesome, which is maybe more typical in the United States. If something is awesome, it's amazing. But if you are also possible in English to be in awe, so you are in awe of something, the significance is you think something is amazing, you think something is so beautiful that you are maybe in love. But if you're in awe, it's like you respect and admire. So if you are in awe of somebody or in awe of something, it means that you respect or admire a lot. Okay, and it's related to awesome. Okay, and it's really important. But in this situation, it's awe-inspiring. And the significance is that something makes you feel really emotional and really maybe proud. Okay, maybe something like proud, the feeling to be proud. Okay, so for this reason, that's the answer for number 0, option A. But remember, in the exam, you don't have a lot of time to analyze everything in detail. So in the exam, your job really is to select very quickly and very precisely all the correct options. But in this class, it's a good opportunity just to explain some of the vocabulary as well. Okay, so the second movie is in relation to Detroit. So obviously Detroit is another movie, and I will read just very quickly, I suppose, the paragraph for Detroit. So an extraordinary account of a 1967 something centered on a violent standoff in a motel between white police and 3 young Black Americans. One of them suspected of being a sniper. Tense, compelling, sometimes uneasy viewing, with director Catherine Bigelow, I'm sorry, I don't know the pronunciation, I know it's a famous name, the Hurt Locker, at the top of her form. Okay, British actor John Boyega shines as a young security guard trying to cool tensions on both sides. Not too difficult vocabulary in my opinion. The first one is extraordinary. So the pronunciation is extraordinary. Normally we say extraordinary. It is possible extraordinary, but the most typical pronunciation is extraordinary. And the reason we have the N here is because the word begins with a vowel, A-E-I-O-U. When the word begins with a vowel, it's necessary to use the A-N, okay, an. And in this situation, again, centered on is very similar to focusing on or zeroing in on. You remember the examples from previously? Centered on has the significance focusing on or maybe zeroing in on a violent standoff. So violent is the adjective, a is the article, and standoff is the substantivo. But it's very, very important because the verb is to stand off. And basically it's literal. If there's a problem here, you need to stand off, and that means stand away. But specifically, a standoff is in relation to negotiations. So if you are negotiating with a company and there's no movement in the negotiation, everything is very tense, and we can also say deadlock. So if it's a standoff, it means nobody is interacting. There's no communication, there's no talking, it's a standoff. So it's very cold, no communication. And that's possible in negotiations, but it's also possible maybe in the bank robbery situation. If the robber is in the bank and the police try to communicate with the robber, but nobody is speaking, that's possible as well, a standoff, okay? A person can be very standoffish, and that means they do not really interact with other people. So if the person is very standoffish, the significance is the person is maybe very distant and there's no communication with other people, okay? And remember, the suffix ish is a little informal and it means kind of, okay? So for example, happy-ish, tired-ish, and the significance is kind of happy, kind of tired, and it's very famous and very, very typical as well, probably informal. So happy-ish and tired-ish is probably informal, but the significance is a little tired or kind of or sort of tired, but very, very typical in conversation in English, okay? So in this situation, a standoff in the motel between white police and 3 young Black Americans. So the two parties, the two groups are not interacting. There's no speaking, there's no communication. It's a standoff, okay? One of them, so again, that structure, one of, it's necessary plural, and them obviously is plural. Suspected is important vocabulary. So the verb is to suspect, and the verb obviously is I suspect. The person is a suspect if the police believe or the police think this person is responsible for the action. This person is a suspect, but there is no evidence, there is no proof, so this person continues to be a suspect, okay? And maybe the adjective related is suspicious, okay? So that's the situation here. And you can see one of them suspected of being a sniper, okay? So specifically, a sniper is the person like the assassin with the pistol, but very, very focused and very trained and very professional. The sniper is the professional with the pistol to kill the other person very, very quickly and immediately with one bullet and with one gun from a long distance. So it's very similar to an assassin, but a sniper is very, very specific vocabulary, okay? And in this situation, the person is suspected of being a sniper, okay? It's tense. Compelling is almost the same. Maybe compelling is like very interactive, very engaging and emotionally engaging, okay? So let me write that because it's a bit difficult. Emotionally engaging has the significance maybe compelling. And I suppose it's possible to say what compelled you to do that. And really the significance is what made you do that, what prompted you to do that, what really forced you to do it, okay? So it's compelling is the adjective, and it means it's very interactive emotionally, okay? Sometimes uneasy viewing, so that's very famous as well, because obviously the verb is to view, which is very similar to see or to watch. And if something is easy to watch, it's very comfortable, but if it's the negative, it's very uneasy, and the significance is it's very difficult to watch. It's possible with a relationship, you have a very uneasy relationship with somebody, and the significance is a very turbulent or very uncomfortable relationship with somebody. It's an uneasy relationship. And in this situation, it's in relation to viewing. It's very difficult to watch because of the problems, okay? At the top of her form, that's no problem. I think top of her form means the best moment in her career, the peak of her ability, the peak of her form. And the preposition at is for location, at the top of her form. And very typical in conversation, we say, how are you? Or how is the form? Okay, and that's really the same, how are you? And the significance is answer, I am in good form and I'm feeling good. Every day is good. I'm in good form. I'm in a good mood. Okay, so really, really good expressions and really good vocabulary in English as well. Then we have the actor John Boyega shines, which is very typical for a light. So the light is shining, como brillar in Espanol. But of course, if the actor is very famous and the actor is very good performance, he's shining or she is shining like a light. Okay. Trying is the same significance as attempting. Okay. Trying to cool is very typical with tensions. So if you cool the tensions, you may try to make everything calm. Okay. So to cool the tensions is a good combination as well on both sides. So number one is a bit difficult, an extraordinary account, an extraordinary story of a. So because we have the article, probably we need the substantivo or the noun, okay? Because 1967 probably is the adjective. So we need some sort of noun. And in relation to the context, maybe a bank robbery. No, it's not possible because A, we have already here, so it's not a repetition. Okay, so I think probably F is the best context because it speaks about a race riot. And we have here speaking about the white police and 3 young Black Americans. So probably it's violent. And I think answer F is probably the correct option. So let's select maybe 1F. Okay, and I think that would be the best option for the moment. So in the exam, again, you have to read very quickly and hopefully you can make the connection very quickly between the race riot and the white police and the Black Americans. I suppose that's the best advice to do that particular paragraph. Okay, so the next paragraph, the title is The Finest. And the introduction again, I will read. So the year's best all British production, a fascinating, top-notch story about screenwriters in the London Blitz, churning out corny patriotic film scripts to cheer up the wartime cinema audiences. So 2 or 3 very, very important vocabulary in that sentence. Remarkably, it manages to something, it depends, okay? And subtly, directed by Lone Scherfig, it features star turns by Gemma Arterton as its strong-willed heroine and Bill Knightley in great form again as a vain elderly actor. Okay, so some very, very good vocabulary here already. So I'm going to show you my text. And the first one is the hyphen. So remember, it's possible 2 different words, all and British, but the hyphen can combine the 2. So it's an all British adjective. Production, a fascinating. So if something is fascinating, it's very, very interesting and very exciting. So the movie was fascinating. The holiday was fascinating. The book was fascinating. It was very, very interesting. The next adjective is very famous adjective, a bit difficult to learn, but it's really typical in conversation. So for example, a notch on your belt is really the best significance. So the belt for the trousers, you have a notch, and the notch is like the little hole, okay? But this is a very typical expression. To notch up means to accumulate or to increase your total. So for example, to notch up another victory has the significance to add another victory or to increase or to accumulate another victory. So to notch up another victory means to accumulate or to add another victory. Okay, so in this context of the notch on the belt, we would say top notch means best quality. Okay, so the movie is top notch, it's the best quality. Another expression here is to say top drawer. So remember, the drawer is the cajón in Espanol. And if you have a drawer and you have the top drawer is typically where you place the most important items or the most important things. So if the movie is top drawer, the significance is the movie is amazing and the movie is the best quality. A little informal, but very, very typical as well. And top notch is exactly the same expression. So in this situation, fascinating, top-notch story, which means top quality, best quality story. Blitz, so this is very typical vocabulary for the military. A blitz is the word when the airplanes, the military planes, attack and they bomb a city or they bomb a target. It's a blitz because it's constant. It's a lot of activity. It's a lot of bombs. It's a blitz. Okay, so this is metaphorical as well. And you can say to blitz your room, and the significance is to clean intensely. Okay, so if you blitz your room, it could have the significance that you clean your room intensively. Okay, so very, very good vocabulary and very specific as well. The next vocabulary is very difficult as well, to churn out. Originally, it's related to churn butter. Okay, and I think it's the process to make the butter is to churn, and I'll show you the translation here, just so you're specifically clear, because it's a bit difficult and it's very, very specific. So the verb to churn, Arabic, Bulgarian, Chinese, Croatian, Czech, Dutch, and all the languages. And we move to Italian, Korean, Malay, Polish, Portuguese, agitar, which is very similar to agitate. Okay, and in Spanish, it is mantequera. I never saw that before in my life. So basically, it's to produce. So in this situation, to churn out has the significance to produce. That's exactly the best translation. So to churn out has the significance to produce. And in this situation, it's exactly the same. So here, churning out a patriotic film script to cheer up, which means to make people feel better. So to cheer up is a typical expression, and it means to feel happier, to feel more positive. It's a very typical comment from your friend. Your friend tells you, come on, cheer up, feel better. Okay. So in this situation, they want the audience during the war to feel better. But the vocabulary here that's very, very difficult is corny. Okay. And it's really good vocabulary because obviously corn is related to the food. When you eat food, it's specifically corn. But the adjective corny is very similar in English to cheesy. And we have two adjectives that describe a movie that's maybe excessive. For example, a romantic movie, and it's really unrealistic. It's a happy ending. Everything is fantastic. There's no problems. It's very, very cheesy. Okay, because when you take a picture, it's very typical to say cheese. And when you say cheese, you have to smile and everything is perfect. So the movie is cheesy, and the significance is it's maybe excessive, perfect. Okay, so it's unrealistic. It's very cheesy. And corny is probably similar as well, because the patriotic film, it's very stereotypical. Okay, and corny is related to maybe stereotypical and not authentic. Okay, so it's really good vocabulary. And remarkably, it manages to, so it is the subject, probably the movie, and the context is remarkably, like amazingly. It manages has the significance it achieves, or it achieves the objective, or it reaches the objective. So it manages to, so also a little secret here, because it's to, it's very possible the next word is a verb. That's a big, big possibility. Because the start of the word is to, it's very possible it's a verb: to go, to eat, to drink, and maybe it could be as well. So amazingly, it's a war movie, but it achieves to, maybe the verb here, to be funny, romantic, and heartbreaking at different points. I think option H is the best option, because after to, it's typical a verb, and in this situation, to be funny, romantic, and heartbreaking at different points. So probably, I think number 2 is H. Okay, because the other options, there's no connection with to. And again, maybe in the exam, you don't need to read the full paragraph in this situation. Maybe immediately you can identify to, and immediately you can expect or look for a verb. Okay, and that will help completely to understand the exercise. So for me, option 2 is H. Okay, so for me, that's very, very clear. And probably it's not too difficult. Okay, number 3, or number paragraph 4, option 3, wind, river. So we'll try to read, I suppose, a bit quicker. For me, the year's most underrated film. So an underrated movie is very, very good vocabulary. And it's very typical to say you rate, for example, the movie is highly rated. And that means a lot of people believe the movie is very, very good. And the verb really is to rate, okay? And it's like to give value to something. So if you rate the movie, and very typical, when you leave the hotel on the internet, you rate the hotel or you review the hotel. So if it's highly rated, the significance is people have a high opinion. And on the opposite, we would say underrated as an adjective, and that means like underappreciated. Okay, so the movie is underrated and the significance is underappreciated. Okay, so it's really, really good vocabulary, maybe for a person, maybe for an athlete, maybe for sports. If they are underrated, it's very, very good vocabulary, like an underdog. So really good. And a thriller, of course, is important, like a really exciting movie, because the verb is to thrill, and the significance is to excite, and the adjective is thrilling. So for example, the holiday was thrilling, the holiday was amazing. And in relation to a movie, we say a thriller, okay? In relation to the movie, we use the verb set, okay? So the movie is set in Ireland, and the significance really is located, okay? So the movie is set in Ireland, and the significance is the movie is located in Ireland. Also, we say the movie set, and that means substantivo, the location and the physical location. For example, this is the movie set. It's the wall, it's the table, it's the chair, it's everything. That's the set. Okay, so in this situation, it's the substantive or the noun, but the first situation is the verb is set in Ireland. Okay. And the next vocabulary, Wyoming's snowy high country, something is found. So that's a long sentence, and the beginning is, for me, the year's most underrated film, a superior thriller set or located near an Indian reservation in Wyoming's snowy high country. So the subject is the movie. Okay, the subject is movie, and something is found. Okay, so the movie, and it's a bit difficult. So if you look at the options here to try and find your best, yes, okay. So for me, I can see the best answer because of the second part is found. So something is found, the verb to find, found, it's the participle and it's the passive. So I think the best option is the body. So the body was found. So where? So it's the location, Wyoming, where the body of a young Native American was found or is found. So for me, I think the best option is 3J, I hope. Okay, because I don't think the other possibilities are options. I don't think they can fit in the other possibilities. Okay, so for me, I think 3J is the best one. So of course we can move on, we can continue because that's your job. But of course we have difficult vocabulary, taciturn, which I probably need to check myself, huntsman and tracker, who helps FBI solve crimes. It feels like a modern Western. So a Western is a style of a movie. It's a type of a movie. And yeah, that's it, I think. So they're the most interesting points and the most interesting expressions from paragraph 3. The next paragraph, this year's Oscar winner for best film, and a hugely, which means massively. So huge is massive, a huge problem, a huge monument, a massive problem, a massive monument. Distinctive one, a 3-part story tracking the progress of a sensitive young American boy, okay, from a tough neighborhood. So remember, tough is a very hard, very strong, a tough day, a very difficult day, a tough person, a very strong person. And also here we have neighborhood. So immediately I connect with option E. At the moment, that's my instinctive answer. Hard neighborhood is a synonym for tough neighborhood, but also sensitive. You need to be clear between the difference between sensitive and sensible. Okay, so you need to be very, very clear between sensitive and sensible. So basically, sensitive is like very emotional. If you're very sensitive emotionally, you maybe are impacted by different actions, and sensible is like very intelligent or very responsible decisions. So if you're a sensible person, you make responsible decisions and you take responsible actions. But sensitive is maybe more emotional. So there's a big, big difference. And particularly in Spanish, it's a false friend. So you need to be very clear with the differences between sensitive and sensible. Okay. Boy from a tough neighborhood. So it's a long sentence. So this year's Oscar winner for best film, and a hugely distinctive one. So the subject is a movie. Okay, the subject is a movie, and tough neighborhood. Maybe it could be a bank robbery in a heart. I don't think it's possible. Number E, I don't think is really, really good, because it's tracking the progress of a boy. Probably yes. So because the subject is a boy, a sensitive young African-American boy, for me, option I, who, so the boy who goes through a troubled adolescence. So for me, probably option I could be the best possibility at the moment. So the boy experienced a troubled adolescence. And for me, that's definitely the most appropriate option, because the subject is the boy. Okay, so I think option 4 is I. So let me write that for I. Okay, so you can see the routine, you can see the exercise, and this is a typical exercise from Escuela Oficial de Idioma, and it's important to try the exercise, and hopefully this video can help a little with the vocabulary and just the doing the exercise as well. But remember, in the exam, you don't have a lot of time. You have maybe 10 minutes, 11 minutes, but this video is just to help, I suppose, with vocabulary. Okay, and then again, finally, settles into, so the verb to settle is to establish yourself. If you travel the world, you travel, and finally you settle in Ireland. The significance is you stay in Ireland for the long term. Okay, and in this situation, it makes sense because he had a troubled adolescence, a very difficult adolescence, teenager, very difficult years, and the contrast finally settles into a promising and peaceful adult life. Okay, assurance is like real security. So if I give you assurance, it's like a guarantee or security, and in this situation, it's directed with real guarantees and security by Barry Jenkins. It's moving and distinctive. So if something is moving, it's very, very emotional. So the movie was very moving, and it means emotionally you are moving. So there's a big impact from the movie. Okay, and that's it. And memorable performance all around. The significance is everybody has a very good performance all around. Every person all around. Okay, so that's good as well. The next one, we'll do it a bit quicker. So this updating of Ridley Scott's 1982 classic is the film's most remarkable visual event on a giant screen. So the preposition for a screen, we say on the big screen, on a giant screen. So because it's a screen, we use the preposition on. The landscapes, okay, so Ireland has a lot of very pretty landscapes of the future feel overwhelming. This is a very, very important word. So overwhelm is the verb. And for example, your manager gives you a lot of work. Your manager gives you a lot of jobs, and the manager overwhelms you because it's too much, demasiado, too much work, too much jobs, and you are overwhelmed. So the adjective is overwhelmed and overwhelming. So there are two adjectives. And basically for your sensation, your feeling, I am overwhelmed. But the work is overwhelming. It's the same with interested. I am interested, but the movie is interesting with the ing. Excited, I am excited, but the movie is exciting. So it's exactly the same difference. Overwhelmed, ed, is for the personal sensation and the personal feeling. I am overwhelmed, but the action is overwhelming, okay? Or the work is overwhelming, and it's very, very good vocabulary. And here, the future or the landscapes are maybe excessive, okay? Too much stimulus, too much information. Ryan Gosling comes to seem a blank presence. Okay, so obviously a bit negative. Seem is para hacer in Espanol. When Harrison Ford reprising, I think is maybe returning or repeating. So if he's reprising, it's like returning or repeating, but a bit difficult because we say a reprisal is in relation to a punishment. Okay, I think like revenge, maybe similar to revenge, a little similar. Okay, so a reprisal in that situation is possible, but in this situation, it's his role. So the context is Harrison Ford reprising his role or his performance as makes his entrance and dominates the film right up to the end. Now that's star quality. So we need to check, is it Ryan Gosling or is it Harrison Ford? So Ryan Gosling comes to seem a blank presence when Harrison Ford. So I think Harrison Ford is the topic. Reprising his role as a bank robbery, no, because maybe a bank robber would be the role or the position, but a robbery is the substantivo. Such a perfectionist cannot complete the painting, maybe perfectionist, but not in the context of the painting. A lottery ticket, no. The stylish London home, okay, maybe the now elderly replicant hunter Deckard. I think that's the best option because it's a role as a hunter, okay, like the position or the job as the hunter. So for me, probably 5D, I think could be the best option. So for the moment, I will select 5D. Of course, we can have some problems, but at the moment, I think that's the best option, okay? Right up to the end means absolutely to the limit, to the very last moment, okay? And he said that's star quality. And the next final 2 paragraphs, we'll read it very quickly. This darkly witty is like very, very funny and very intelligent British state of the nation comedy may be short in relation to time. It's not sufficient, it's not long at 71 minutes, but it certainly packs a punch. That's a famous expression. So to pack a punch means to really contain a maybe intense or a very powerful performance. So if it packs a punch, for example, it's food and the dinner is very small, but you feel full after the dinner. So the food packs a punch. That's maybe one possibility. So a punch is very, very strong. And in this situation, it's a short movie, but it's very powerful and a very strong impact. It packs a punch. It also feels a one-act play. Set, again, is located. So because the specific vocabulary is set, like located in relation to the movie, in, we immediately think a city or a place. Set in a bank robbery. No, I don't think so. Maybe the stylish London home of politician. I think that could be the best option because it's set or located in the home. And probably that's the best option at the moment. Okay, so number 6, I think we will say G. Okay, so again, I think that's probably clear as well. Set in a political home, newly appointed shadow minister of health. So definitely it's political because the minister is the politician in the government, but the shadow minister is the politician in the opposition government. That's the significance of a shadow minister. A shadow cabinet is the cabinet of the opposition politicians, okay? Our guests are a bitchy, hypocritical bunch. So bitchy obviously is the person who gossips and maybe comments very, very bad. So the adjective is a bitchy person. It's a little informal, a little vulgar. And I suppose, let's say it is a little vulgar. But basically the significance is the gossip. The person who gossips all the time about other people is a bitchy person. So somebody who's maybe commenting maybe negative about another person, okay? And hypocritical bunch is like a group. So if you have a bunch of friends, it's a group of friends. A bunch of flowers is un puño, I think in Espanol, but a bunch of friends is a group of friends. Mouthing, again, the verb to mouth is related to say something, but maybe critical of another person. So for example, if you are a mouth, the significance, you are a gossip, and maybe you do not keep a secret. And the verb to mouth is to speak, but you're speaking and gossiping about another person, okay? So it's negative. And high-minded attitudes, I suppose, is related to the morals. I think you have high-minded attitudes, you have superior, arrogant, maybe attitudes, and then a great cast. So the cast is the group or the collection of the actors. You have a cast, but remember the verb to cast is like to throw. When you go fishing and you have the net, you cast your net, it's to throw your net. In the television, to broadcast, which is transmitter, you send the signal very far and very wide, very broad. Okay, so to broadcast. And that's it. So I think that's clear for the option. And then finally, number 7, an oddly engaging little film. So odd is very, very important. Again, odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay, and an odd situation or an odd person basically means a little strange or a little rare. Okay, so probably strange, probably rare. And in this situation, it's like rare. Engaging is like interactive. So if it's an interactive, strange, interactive little film, on the surface means your first impression. On the surface, it looks very good, but when you continue to watch, maybe it's very, very bad. So on the surface means the first impression, and it looks very, very good. But when you continue to watch, it's maybe very, very bad. The great artist in his twilight years. So remember, the twilight, I think, are at the end of the movie, or in his career, at the end of his career is the twilight. And I think you can say the Twilight Zone. And I think there's a series or a movie very famous with the vampires, the Twilight series. So the twilight years are maybe the retirement years or the best years at the end of your career, I think. Okay. But so the next sentence, but he is. So we need to find the context about this person to sit. So it's an artist. The context is the artist. And the artist is a bank robbery. No. Then such a perfectionist. Yes. So very, very clearly, I think it's C, because it's a perfectionist and it fits perfect. But also we speak about the painting, and it's definitely a painting. So for me, it's very, very clear. 7 is C. Okay. So I think that's the full list of answers. And just in relation to the final vocabulary, a delightful steak. That's very, very important because we have 2 words that are completely different. We say a steak, which is the food in the restaurant. You go to the restaurant and you order a steak, and you can say well done, or you can say rare or raw. Okay, raw is crudo. So when you go to the restaurant, your steak is well done, or your steak is rare or raw. Okay, and the second possibility is a steak, which is completely different. Okay, a steak is very typical in the game of poker. When you play poker, you play the cards, and you have your stake is the money that you bet apostar. The money that you put in is your stake, and it means maybe €5, €10, but everybody contributes €5, and the stake is maybe €50 because there's 10 people. But this is a very typical expression. We say there is a lot at stake in your career, and that means there is a lot of a prize. So maybe you lose your job, maybe you lose your house. So these are the assets or the things that are in contention, I suppose, is the best explanation. But it's a very, very famous expression. There is a lot at stake. Okay, so it's completely different. The 2 words are completely different, and I think that's the best vocabulary as well. And remember, skill is like a talent, but skillful is the adjective and skillfully is the adverb. Okay, well done. So that's a very, very good paragraph, a good exercise. And just to show you the answers, I think I have the answers here. Let me see. Yes, so the solutions here, the best films, you can see, and I'm just going to clear the text here for all the text. Okay, and so let me just double check. Number 1 was F, number 2 was H, number 3 was J, number 4 was I, number 5 was D, number 6 was G, number 7 was C. Okay, very happy, because normally the reading is tricky And normally these reading exercises are hard in the exams, very, very hard. But here we can see we have the full answers. So that's really good. And great. So that's a good example of the Escuela Oficial de Idiomas exercise. And I'm happy to make this video. And I think it's hopefully will help you. Of course, it's very long and you need some patience just to sit and to watch the full video. But I think you will learn some vocabulary and you will learn some expressions. And also it's good practice to prepare for these exams. Okay, so thank you for your time. I hope that you enjoyed the video and you enjoyed the lessons. And remember, also, as well as this video and the other videos, I have some specific classes available. So here you can see the schedule. This is my routine: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So this week is the first week of my new schedule, and every day at 3:15 in Ireland we have webinars in relation to grammar. Today we have a webinar in relation to sport. IELTS is Wednesday, Thursday is the advanced, Friday is business, and Saturday is the B2. And for the webinar there's a price of €6. But apart from the webinar, it's possible to create a group of 10 people for a class or for speaking. It depends what you want. A group of 9, a group of 8. So it's possible to create a specific group, and I am available for the classes in the specific times. So if you want to join a group, you can contact me. I have a WhatsApp group, and in the WhatsApp group, we can find other people to create a class at a specific time. And the more people in a group, the cheaper or the better the cost for everybody. And it's available for everybody. So you can contact me if you want to join one of the meetings, one of the classes. And that's it. The information is here. 4 weeks, preferably pay 4 weeks in advance, etc. And the content could be speaking, the content could be vocabulary, the content could be lots of similar things. And today's video is a very similar example of the method, of the structure, of the type of class that I give. Okay, so thank you so much. Remember, Facebook, you have the Facebook page, WhatsApp is possible here, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, of course, is very popular at the moment. So the name for TikTok and all the social media channels are here. And that's it. So thank you very much, everybody. I hope that you have a very, very good day, and hopefully I will see you soon in one of the classes. And thank you so much, and hopefully talk to you soon. Bye-bye.